What if I told you that your loneliness might not come from a lack of people, but from a higher level of perception that most humans never reach? What if the reason you feel different, disconnected, or even misunderstood is because your mind is tuned to a frequency others can't hear? There is a rare quality that only a small number of people carry, a deeper way of sensing and a heightened awareness that goes beyond the surface. And if you've ever wondered why crowds drain you, why shallow conversations feel empty, or why you've always felt slightly out of place, you might have this rare inner signal. Most people mistake it for loneliness, but it's something entirely different and far more powerful. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear may shift the way you understand both yourself and reality. This idea that some people can perceive more than the ordinary mind isn't new, but no one explored it as boldly or as deeply as Jacobo Grinberg. Jacobo was a Mexican scientist and psychologist who dedicated his life to one question: what is consciousness really? While most researchers focused on memory or behavior, Jacobo stepped into territory others avoided. He traveled to remote villages, observed shamans, studied meditation, and sought answers in places where science and spirituality seemed to meet. He discovered that some people appeared to sense things outside ordinary perception, patterns, energies, and layers of reality that didn't fit within traditional scientific explanations. According to Jacobo, the brain doesn't show us the whole of reality, it filters it. We see only a tiny fragment of a much larger field, a field he believed is shared by all living things. But some people have a thinner filter. They feel more, they notice the subtleties in energy, emotion, and intention. They don't just live in the physical world, they sense the invisible currents beneath it. And here is the part almost no one talks about. Those who have this gift often feel a deep, persistent loneliness, not because they are alone, but because they are different. Their inner world is rich, complex, and profound, while the world around them can feel shallow, noisy, or disconnected from what truly matters. If any of this feels familiar to you, if you've ever felt that strange distance between your inner experience and the outside world, then you need to stay until the end of this video. You will learn what this rare quality really is and why it sets you apart. You will see why Jacobo believed certain people are naturally more connected to the deeper layers of consciousness. And you will understand why this difference can create isolation, yet also reveal a hidden strength that most people never discover. By the end of this video, you won't see your loneliness the same way again. You might realize it is not a flaw, but a sign of extraordinary perception. So if you're ready to explore the hidden connection between loneliness and consciousness, if you're ready to discover what Jacobo Grinberg uncovered about people who perceive differently, then stay with me. Welcome to Awakened Synchronicity, the channel where we explore the mysteries of the mind and the unseen forces shaping our lives. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, because your journey into deeper awareness starts now. We need to understand the idea behind it. The idea Jacobo Grinberg spent his entire life studying. Jacobo believed that reality is not just what we see, touch, or hear. He suggested that beyond the physical world, there exists a continuous field of energy, a kind of invisible space that connects everything. Most people move through life without noticing it, because our minds filter out anything that doesn't fit into our usual experience. But according to Jacobo, that filter is not the same for everyone. He described the brain as a creator of a personal reality bubble. This bubble is made from everything we have learned, everything we expect, and everything we believe. It shapes what we notice and what we ignore. For most people, this bubble is thick. It blocks out anything unusual, anything subtle, anything that cannot be explained with logic. It helps them function in the everyday world, but it also limits what they can perceive. They see what they were trained to see, nothing more. But Jacobo's research showed that some individuals have a thinner filter. Their bubble is more transparent. They don't just interact with the outer world, they sense the layers beneath it. They feel emotions more deeply, sense energies around people and places, and notice patterns that others miss. Jacobo believed that this is not imagination, it is perception. It is the mind picking up signals from the continuous field that most humans are blind to. This field, in Jacobo's theory, is not mystical or magical. It is simply part of reality that science has not yet fully understood. He called it the lattice, or the information field. Everything from thoughts to physical matter is connected through it. And while our physical senses give us one version of reality, this deeper field holds a different version, one that is richer, more complex, and more interconnected. Jacobo studied people who seemed to access this deeper layer naturally. Some were meditators, some were healers, some were ordinary individuals who never considered themselves special. But they all had one thing in common: they sensed reality differently than others. They were aware of subtle signals, a sudden knowing, a eth in energy, a quiet intuition that guided them. They didn't always understand it, and it often made them feel separate from others, but it was real. He believed that these perceptions were glimpses of the true structure of reality, the part hidden behind the physical world. And because most people never feel this layer, they assume it doesn't exist. But for those who do sense it, the world feels deeper and more mysterious. Everyday life feels like a thin surface covering something far more meaningful. It is this difference in perception that can make someone feel isolated or misunderstood, not because they are wrong, but because they are aware of something others cannot yet see. Jacobo's work suggests that reality isn't limited by our senses, it is limited by our perception, and when a person's perception expands even a little, their entire experience of life changes in ways that others may never fully understand. Before we talk about what this rare inner quality truly is, we need to understand why it creates a loneliness that feels different from ordinary loneliness. Because when your perception doesn't match the perception of the people around you, the world itself begins to feel strange. It feels distant, muted, or even hollow, as if everyone is walking through the same room but living in completely different realities. This is not the loneliness of being physically alone. This is the loneliness of being out of sync with the collective rhythm of other minds. And this is exactly the kind of loneliness Jacobo Grinberg tried to explain through his work. For most people, reality is simple. What they see is what exists. Conversations are straightforward. Social rules make sense. Interactions follow predictable patterns. But if your consciousness works differently, if you feel more, sense more, and ask questions others never think about, then you will naturally feel misaligned with the world around you. You can be standing in a crowded place surrounded by noise, laughter, and movement, and still feel like a visitor, as if you slipped into a dimension where everything looks familiar, but nothing truly connects to you. It's not that you cannot socialize. It's not that you dislike people. It's that something inside you vibrates at a different frequency, and that difference creates distance. Jacobo believed that what most people call reality is actually a filtered version of a much larger field. Our minds simplify the world so we can function. They block out anything that doesn't fit into our habits and expectations. But when someone has a thinner filter, when their perception is more open, they start to feel the world in a more intense way. They don't just see faces, they sense energies. They don't just hear words, they feel the emotional texture behind them. They don't just exist, they observe their own existence through a deeper inner lens. This deeper sensitivity is the rare quality many people carry without realizing it. It can show up as emotional sensitivity, intuitive intelligence, or a natural ability to sense the unspoken. You experience more depth, more nuance, more layers, even in simple everyday situations. You pick up on subtle shifts in people's moods. You feel tension before it is expressed. You sense unspoken truths. You notice the emptiness in conversations that are supposed to feel meaningful. And because your consciousness touches these subtler layers, you crave depth in a world that often remains on the surface. People with this quality rarely enjoy small talk. Not because they are antisocial, but because small talk feels disconnected from the truth of human experience. It feels like noise, like a barrier between people rather than a bridge. These individuals want conversations that breathe. They want connections that expand. They want minds that can meet them in the middle, not just skim along the edges of life. When these deeper exchanges don't happen, they don't just feel bored, they feel alone. Jacobo would argue that this loneliness doesn't come from weakness or social failure. It comes from difference. When your inner world is rich, detailed, and alive, the outer world can appear flat by comparison. Most people operate within a limited range of perception. Their senses pick up only the loudest signals, words, actions, obvious emotions, but you might pick up the whispers, the layers of meaning beneath the obvious. And when you sense these deeper layers, something strange begins to happen. The surface world feels too thin, too simple, too disconnected from what you know to be real. This is why many people with this quality feel isolated in groups. They look around and see everyone interacting comfortably, following the same emotional script, sharing the same tempo, but inside they feel something else, a different rhythm, a different level of awareness. It's not that they don't belong, it's that they belong to something deeper, something most people cannot see. And when your consciousness touches deeper layers, it becomes harder to feel at home in places that stay on the surface. Jacobo believed that consciousness is not just an observer, it is an active participant in reality. He suggested that the mind interacts with a vast energetic and informational field, a field that exists beneath physical perception. Most people never connect with this field because their minds are trained to focus on physical, measurable things, but some people, without trying, naturally tap into it. They feel the world's invisible texture. They sense the emotional undercurrents in a room. They perceive the vibrations of truth and dishonesty. They feel the energy of people before they speak. This deeper connection can be beautiful, but it can also create isolation. Imagine living in a world where you hear a faint melody playing underneath the noise, a melody others do not notice. You try to explain it, but people tell you it doesn't exist. You start to quiet yourself. You question your perception. You blend in, but inside, the melody never stops. This is what many people experience when they have the rare sensitivity Jacobo described. They feel the deeper rhythm of existence, but they cannot always find others who hear it too. There are certain signs that reveal whether someone carries this rare quality. You might notice that small talk feels tiring or artificial. Crowded social settings might overwhelm you, not because you are shy, but because you sense too much at once. You might crave deep conversations, meaningful silence, or time alone with your thoughts. You may find yourself searching for purpose, questioning reality, or feeling alive only when you engage with ideas that stretch your mind beyond the ordinary. You might sense emotional shifts in others before they speak. You notice when someone hides their pain, even behind a smile. You may feel drained by superficial interactions and energized by people who share depth. You feel loneliness not because you lack people, but because you lack resonance, that rare moment when someone's inner world vibrates at the same frequency as yours. And perhaps the clearest sign of all, you feel like you see life from a slightly different angle. Not better, not worse, just different. You stand inside the world, but also outside it. You exist in the moment, but you also observe it. You live in your body, but your consciousness stretches beyond it. You are here, and yet you sense there is more. This is the loneliness Jacobo tried to explain. The loneliness of perception difference. It is not emptiness. It is not failure. It is the side effect of seeing more in a world that sees less. And if you carry this quality, your loneliness is not a burden. It is a sign that your mind touches the hidden layers of reality that most people never notice. Being different does not mean you are broken. In fact, it often means that you see the world through a lens that most people never notice. While many go through life simply reacting to what they see, feel, and hear at the surface, some minds are naturally tuned to notice the layers beneath. This is the rare quality that Jacobo Grinberg explored throughout his work, the ability to sense subtler realities, to perceive energy, emotion, and consciousness in ways that others cannot. It can feel isolating because most of the world functions without acknowledging these deeper currents, but isolation does not equal defect. Feeling alone in a crowd or disconnected from ordinary social interactions is not a sign of failure. It is simply the reflection of your perception operating on a different level. History is filled with examples of people who shared this sensitivity. Artists, mystics, poets, philosophers, and scientists alike often felt lonely not because they lacked companions, but because they experienced reality differently. Their inner worlds were richer, more intricate, and more nuanced than the world around them could offer. When you feel that solitude, it is not a flaw. It is the mark of a mind capable of seeing and understanding things others overlook. These are the individuals who create great art, discover profound truths, and shape society in subtle yet powerful ways. Jacobo Grinberg's research suggests that this kind of heightened awareness is a bridge between the inner consciousness and the external world, connecting thought, energy, and perception in ways that remain largely invisible to those around you. Having this unique quality can open doors that many never even notice. It allows for deeper self-understanding because you are naturally reflecting on the world and your place within it. You become aware of patterns in your life, in the behavior of others, and in the flow of events, noticing connections that most people ignore. This sensitivity can also lead to spiritual growth, helping you explore the nature of consciousness itself, something Jacobo Grinberg devoted his life to studying. It can reveal creative insight, because the mind that perceives these subtle layers often draws inspiration from ideas and energies that remain hidden to the average observer. What may initially seem like loneliness can, with understanding, become the foundation for remarkable personal evolution. If you recognize this trait within yourself, it is important to embrace it rather than resist it. Accept that you see differently and know that this difference is a gift rather than a liability. You do not need to force yourself to conform to the norms of social expectation or to fit into the ordinary patterns of interaction. Instead, seek out like-minded individuals and communities that value depth, reflection, and meaningful connection over noise and superficial engagement. Surrounding yourself with those who resonate with your energy can transform what feels like isolation into a sense of belonging on a different, more authentic level. At the same time, cultivating practices that strengthen your inner awareness can deepen your understanding and connection with this gift. Meditation, contemplation, and reflective exercises help anchor your perception, while creative expression allows you to channel the insights you receive into tangible forms. Journaling, art, music, or other personal projects can become ways to explore and communicate the subtle realities you perceive. Jacobo Grinberg emphasized that the mind does not merely observe reality, it interacts with a vast informational and energetic field. By intentionally exploring this inner landscape, you develop a stronger connection with your consciousness and learn to navigate the world without losing touch with your unique perception. Of course, this path is not without challenges. Feeling out of sync with the world can be heavy at times. Others may misunderstand you, label you as strange, or dismiss your insights as unusual. Loneliness can feel profound, especially when the majority cannot relate to the depth of your inner experience. You might feel lost or disconnected, longing for a resonance that is rare. There may be moments when the weight of being different seems overwhelming, yet even in these moments, the awareness you carry is a source of power. It allows you to experience life more fully, to perceive beauty, meaning, and truth in places others never notice. Even if this journey comes with periods of solitude, it is far richer than living blindly at surface level. The ease of fitting in with the ordinary comes with a price, a shallow engagement with life that can leave the mind and spirit unfulfilled. Those who perceive more deeply experience life differently, sensing the hidden rhythms, energies, and connections that make existence meaningful. This depth may be challenging, even isolating, but it is also profoundly rewarding. The richness of your inner world, the authenticity of your experiences, and the potential for growth and insight far outweigh the temporary comfort of blending in. By embracing this unique quality, you cultivate a life filled with awareness, connection to deeper truths, and a sense of purpose that transcends the ordinary. Jacobo Grinberg's perspective reminds us that living with this heightened awareness is not a curse, but an opportunity. Even when it feels heavy, even when you feel disconnected, the depth you carry allows you to navigate reality with a clarity and insight unavailable to most. It is a path that may feel lonely at times, but it is a path toward understanding the invisible structures of consciousness, the energies that shape existence, and the profound potential within yourself. Those who recognize and honor this sensitivity cultivate not only personal growth, but also the ability to impact the world in subtle, transformative ways. It is the awareness of these hidden layers that can make life richer, more meaningful, and deeply authentic. If you have often felt lonely, disconnected, or simply different from those around you, it is important to understand that this feeling is not a flaw, nor is it a curse. The sense of being out of sync with the world is often misunderstood, but according to Jacobo Grinberg, it may be a sign that your consciousness perceives reality at a deeper, subtler level than most. The world can feel hollow, ordinary, or misaligned when your perception is tuned to layers of experience that others cannot easily access. Feeling different does not mean you are broken. It means that your mind is working on a higher frequency, picking up on nuances, energies, and insights that the majority of people simply overlook. This heightened awareness can feel isolating, but it also carries immense potential for self-understanding, growth, and connection with aspects of reality that remain hidden to the ordinary eye. Consider that throughout history, many of the most insightful, creative, and influential individuals were those who often felt lonely or misunderstood. Artists, philosophers, mystics, and innovators have all experienced the same sense of disconnection because their perceptions extended beyond conventional boundaries. What they sensed and understood could not always be expressed in ordinary conversation or shared with others who lacked the same awareness. Yet, despite the loneliness they experienced, their inner depth allowed them to perceive the richness, complexity, and beauty of life in ways that most people never could. This is exactly what Jacobo Grinberg pointed to in his research. Those who feel different often perceive more, sense more, and understand more, even if the world around them cannot recognize it. If this resonates with you, it is essential to reflect on your own inner lens. Value your perceptions, even if they make you feel out of place or misunderstood. Recognize that your sensitivity and awareness are gifts that allow you to experience reality with greater depth. Instead of trying to force yourself to fit into shallow patterns or accept superficial comfort, seek resonance. Surround yourself with individuals, communities, and practices that honor your way of seeing the world. Engage with those who can understand, relate, or at least respect your inner experience. The right environment can transform what feels like isolation into a space of connection, growth, and inspiration. You can also cultivate your inner world in ways that strengthen your unique perception. Practices such as meditation, reflection, creative expression, or journaling can help you explore the subtler dimensions of consciousness that Jacobo Grinberg studied. These practices allow you to connect with your inner self, understand your experiences, and navigate the outer world without feeling as though you must compromise or dilute your awareness. By nurturing your inner landscape, you gain the clarity, resilience, and insight needed to thrive in a world that may not fully recognize or understand your perspective. Remember that being different is not a limitation, it is an opportunity. The awareness you carry allows you to access hidden layers of reality, see patterns others miss, and experience life more fully. The challenges of being different, the moments of loneliness, misunderstanding, or judgment are part of the path toward a deeper understanding of yourself and the world. These challenges do not diminish your value, they shape your capacity for insight, empathy, and wisdom. Each moment of perceived isolation is also a chance to tune into the richness of your own consciousness, to explore dimensions of experience that remain unseen by most. Ultimately, embracing your difference can be empowering. It can transform what may feel like a burden into a strength, revealing a path toward greater awareness, self-knowledge, and inner growth. The loneliness you sometimes feel is not a sign of weakness. It is a signal that you are operating on a different perceptual plane. This gift, this rare quality, is what allows you to perceive deeper truths, sense hidden energies, and connect with reality in ways that are extraordinary. Being different opens doors to insights, experiences, and connections that most people never encounter. It is a gateway to a more profound, meaningful, and authentic life. If this video resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on your own unique perception. Honor the way you see the world and seek resonance with those who understand or share your awareness. Embrace your inner lens and trust that being different is not a weakness but a profound gift. If you found value in this discussion, please like this video and subscribe to our channel Awakened Synchronicity to continue exploring consciousness, hidden potentials, and the mysteries within the human mind. By subscribing, you join a community that celebrates depth, awareness, and the extraordinary qualities that make you who you are.